Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Valheim series. Today we're going to do some exploring on this additional island that we managed to, well, encounter some interesting things on in the previous episode. We're mostly trying to look for more fortresses. Because I've been somewhat frustrated by the lack of iolite so far. So I'm hoping that we can get some from a fortress or two on this island. So strap yourself in, pop your favourite adventuring Ashlands style gear on, and you join us in the action as always at our landing site. Now, you might be thinking, this is one of these, I'm biting off a bit more than I can chew kind of moments. I mean, we've got a Morgan, we've got at least one Askven, we've got some other Chard, we've got a 1-star, one of those little guys, we've got some archers, and we don't appear to have our little skeleton buddies anymore because I think the Morgan ate them for breakfast. So, for your average kind of brown trouser wearing mage, this might be a suitable opportunity to beat a hasty retreat. But with our, newly improved mage skills, yes, we're going to see if we can do better than just running away. Yes, I have to say that is rather a lot of things to have to deal with, but luckily we have our little flaming troll friend, who is not that little and is very flaming, to help us thin out the crowd a little bit. So we've summoned him in there, fully expecting that he is probably going to die, but that's alright. Whatever damage he can do is definitely a good thing. Now, this Morgan, I was kind of hoping that he would be the one that would aggro onto the troll, but since he wanted to come after me, I'm just going to have to deal with him. And as you can see, he's a bit wedged on the rock there, so this turned out to be a lot easier than I was expecting. Yes, our flaming troll friend has done us a solid here and cleaned out the worst of it. Now we got rid of those couple of twitches, we're now free to continue explorations. Now, minor spoiler, that is not the last time you are going to see our flaming troll friend in this episode. Yeah, I saw these low ruins here, and I thought, oh, that might be a Diverger camp. Unfortunately, it wasn't. I was kind of hoping I could have had a little spot where I could have grabbed a little bit of respite when I needed it, but unfortunately, it is just a standard ruin. Anyway, with that minor disappointment, we're going to keep our exploration hat on and see what other interesting things we can come across. Yeah, quite a few Flametal spires around. I can see another one there in the distance. Uh, and there are more to come, so I'm not going to be hurting for locations to mine Flametal if I need more of it. I mean, that said, I've still got almost half a chest, and I'm talking the big fine wood chest. I've got nearly half a chest full of Flametal already, and I've already fully upgraded my armor for my melee set. So, yeah, we're not going to be struggling for Flametal at this stage. In other news, that green pillar of light in the distance can only mean one thing. There is a fortress nearby, and that is exactly what I've been looking for. Sure enough, there's another two Flametal spires. So yeah, we are definitely not going to have any trouble with Flametal at this stage. We've still got a bunch of them back on the main island we haven't mined. I think I did see one or two on our way out to that mysterious location in the previous episode. I just didn't bother marking them because I hadn't made a decision whether or not I'd actually explore this island or not. But then I've realised since that, yeah, I need fortresses. I need to get some more iolite. I mean, all of the gems are useful for one thing or another, but at the moment, iolite is the one that I want the most. Now, you're going to learn what happens if you don't protect your benches and your portal. Well, I mean, the stone portals are fine out here, but the wooden ones, not so much. I've thrown that down just to make a bit more bag space. And then, well, this is what happens when you're a bit tired and not particularly focused. Rather than going through the portal and taking this as an opportunity to unload and maybe sleep the night out, I left the portal and bench there, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to push this fort. I'm going to, destroy the little ballistas that they have, and maybe even, you know, bust in without actually having everything on me that I need to actually achieve that. So, yeah. Now, I haven't actually scouted this fortress prior to doing this, so I'm not actually sure where the two summoning stones are inside. But from this vantage point, it looks like I'm lobbing the fireballs just over this side of the wall, and that they would be impacting, you know, against the base of the wall at the other side of the fort. And by hurling enough of them down the length of the fortress, I'm assuming that that would have destroyed any of the summoning stones that are against that side of the fort. Now that I'm up here, I can't actually see anything over that side, so I think that actually worked. So now, in the method that I experimented with in the previous fort raiding, I'm now using the bombarding approach to see if we can get the summoning stone that's against the wall on this side. Now, again, not sure exactly where that summoning stone is, so I'm just, you know, I'm just going to randomly bombard, you know, the two corners on this side, on the basis that if I do enough damage, I must therefore have destroyed those stones. Right, well, now that I think I've achieved what I set out to achieve, I've just walked back over to go back through my... Oh, yeah. On the ground at this point, there is the couple of Surtling cores, because they're, you know, immune to fire. They are basically fire, so they won't get destroyed. There is a little bit of ashwood, and there is a whole bunch of charcoal, because while I was busy attacking the fort, there must have been a random bit of fire that got on the portal or the bench or both, and it consequently destroyed both. And of course, you're not going to come across regular wood out here, and consequently I have no way of setting that portal back up again. So we are now going to have to go back to our landing platform, our landing spot, and yeah, regroup basically, and actually bring the supplies that I should have brought with me to ensure success the first time round. Now, most of the resistance I encountered on the way back to the boat and the portal was pretty pedestrian, and I just decided for efficiency and episode length that I just cut those items out. But this particular encounter involved an above average amount of pain and suffering. So we brought our little troll friend in, and I hadn't actually noticed before, but he actually does a lot of damage just in the act of arriving as a flaming meteor. So, mental note, I may save that for future experimentation. In the meantime, the amount of stuff there was not, particularly difficult for the troll to deal with. And because he likes to aggro and follow whatever the nearest thing is, I'm just kiting him through everything else that I come across on the basis that he is probably going to beat those things up as well. What I didn't realise is he generally doesn't like to travel too far from where he got summoned, and so I think he's worked his way back to his summoning spot. Yep, there he is there. So I thought, yeah, well, I'll leave him there. He'll be fine. He'll find little critters to amuse himself on while we're away. And if he's still there when we get back, we can always destroy him. So, all good. In the meantime, just for one last piece of excitement for this part of the episode, we have ourselves a 1-star warrior. And of course, we don't have our skeletons up at the moment. So we're just going to kite him around. I mean, this is the kind of reason why I have the cloak on that I have. It allows me to walk and run faster depending on the wind direction. And that bit of extra bonus mobility makes dealing with this stuff a lot easier. Anyway, we're back at our landing point. We've now jumped back through. We've grabbed a shield generator. We've grabbed materials for another portal. Now we're leaving this shield generator and this normal portal here, and we're going to pick up the stone portal, the stoneworking bench, and we're going to take that up to the fortress. Now, of course, Morgans, I don't know what their respawn rate is, but I feel like I only killed this guy 5 minutes ago and he's back. So we're going to kill him again. I wouldn't be complaining too loudly though. There is a lot of crafting that requires the Morgan sinew. That I can barely stay ahead of at this stage. So now that I can kill Morgans easily, I'm going to definitely be killing more of those in the future. And sure enough, our flaming troll friend is still here, amusing himself with the local flora and fauna. I'm just chilling here, waiting for him to finish with his current nemesis. And as you can see, he's used up most of his health during the night. And what was left was quite easy to dispatch. Now we're pushing back towards the fortress. Couple more mobs to deal with before we get back there. Now, of course, there had to be a fallen Valkyrie as well, so we're going to take care of the fallen Valkyrie. They do tend to patrol a pretty big area sometimes. So I've learned my lesson. I definitely do not ignore them, particularly if they're near a fortress. You probably should prioritize getting rid of them before you start raiding a fortress, because they do have a habit of showing up at very inopportune times. Alright, so we're off to a pretty good start. We've got our, shield generator down, we've got our benches down, we've got our portal down and connected. We've got a few more stray bits of wildlife to deal with, and then I think we might be in a position where we can start looking at getting inside the fort. But before we can do that, of course, there is always some warlocks to try and enhance your day. And that is a 1-star charred warlock. Now, if you remember our previous episodes of attempting to raid a fortress, you will remember that they can be quite the handful. So, I definitely have my work cut out for me. Particularly since there's actually not just him, but he's actually got another warlock friend with him. So, that is a lot of incoming damage. So, we're going to beat a slightly hasty retreat here to try and pull the combat away from the fortress and my portal. And we're going to get them all out in the open here. And we are going to refresh everything we can refresh. And then we're going to get our little buddy out here in a moment to help us deal with these extra bits of trash that are causing so much pain and suffering. Alright, well that, I'm not going to pretend, was anything less than a monumental effort to destroy that little pain in the backside and all of his friends and minions. But now we appear to be clear of all of that. There is still an archer, and it looks like we might have a warrior or two inside the fort, but it looks like all the warlocks are gone at this stage. So I think we are pretty safe to move ahead with our usual plan. We're going to raise a bit of terrain here, and we're going to work our way up to the height of the wall, and then, yeah, see what we can do from there. Now, I was struggling a bit here, and you have the benefit of me having adjusted the video brightness in post, but I'm going to say right here in the shadow of the fort, this was basically pitch black when I was trying to do this. So, I'm not sure why I kept persisting. I think it was more just I want to, get this over and done with because it's been so much effort to get to this point already. But with the, with all the frustrations of not being able to see where I was putting the stone, I, waved a little white flag, went back, got myself a rested buff. We got ourselves some sunshine, and we're going to finish doing what we set out to do. Except we, of course, forgot to bring enough stone with us. So we're going to go and sort that out now, and we'll come back, and I promise this time around we will actually get this done. And finally, the fort is ours. And yeah, that's probably about an average amount of flametal. Only bloodstones in that chest, but that's not entirely unexpected. The bloodstones are the most common ones. So we're now in the process of moving our bits and pieces inside the fortress. Of course, like everything that you try and do in Ashlands, there's usually a committee that will show up at some point to, you know, protest about your most recent activities. Except this time, I've got a nice solid fortress that I can retreat to. And we are just going to nuke the living hell out of these guys without ever having to worry about them hitting us. Now, through a combination of not being very organised and some other things, I have cut quite a huge chunk out here. Mostly it was just going to retrieve this battering ram from fort number 3. There's not much point making more than one of these things because you can only ever use one at a time. And I usually just leave them set up wherever I last used them. We pretty much showed you the drill in the previous episode about how to use these things. We have succeeded in getting inside. The usual array of molten cores. I did notice that the walls seem to take a bit of damage this time round, but, you know, whatever. It's not like we're that worried about them. We've got another marker for that boss. We've got the usual bell fragment, and, surprise, surprise, no iolite. Oh well, looks like we're going to be raiding some more forts in the future, and you definitely want to stay tuned for those. And this is where we bring the episode to a close. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. In the meantime, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching and have yourself an absolutely fantastic day.